You are listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. I'm Kyle Bryan.
And I'm Sean Baumstark. Together, we're navigating life with disability.
Sean and I were both diagnosed with a rare, debilitating, life-shortening disease that has affected our physical abilities and causes us to live with urgency. We are constantly looking for the next challenge, not only in spite of our disease, but because of it.
We are two dudes who constantly challenge our own abilities, and we invite you to do the same. Thank you for listening today. As you know, we've been focusing on Rare Disease Day, which is tomorrow, February 28th. And we've had some insightful and inspiring conversations over the last couple of weeks with Global Genes, the Every Life Foundation, and the National Organization for Rare Disorders. The culmination of our Rare Disease Day series is an interview with someone that is incredibly special and dear to both of us and many of our listeners.
You're about to hear a little bit of our conversation with Ron Bartek, president and co-founder of the Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance. I say a little bit because our conversation with Ron was so rich and insightful that we've decided to publish the whole interview in two parts. Today, you'll hear some of Ron's thoughts on Rare Disease Day, the FDA, and an exciting opportunity coming up for FARA with the FDA in June. Episode 11 will feature more of Ron, focusing on his career, the launch and beginning of FARA, and more, as he shares from his heart about the entire FA and rare disease family, especially as it relates to him, his wife, and their children.
We want to apologize now. This recording does have some noise clutter that was out of our control. Against the advice and counsel of our audio producer, we're still posting this. We all believe the recording is just too valuable to scrap. We hope you can listen past the audio imperfections and still draw from the content Ron shares. Let's move right along. Here is our Rare Disease Day conversation with Ron Bartek. All right, welcome back to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. Thanks for tuning in today. Kyle and I are here with Ron Bartek, co-founder and president of the Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance, otherwise known as FARA. Ron, thank you so much for joining us today on the Two Disabled Dudes podcast.
Thank you very much, Sean and Kyle. It's a pleasure to be with you again.
Ron, before we get started, I wanted to read your bio, just to kind of establish for the listeners who we're talking to today. So, Mr. Ronald Bartek is FARA's co-founder and president. He's a member of the board of the National Organization for Rare Disorders. He's a 4-year member NIH National Advisory Neurological Disorders and Stroke Council, and former partner and president of a business and technology development consulting and government affairs firm. Mr. Bartek's professional experience also includes 20 years of federal executive branch and legislative branch service in defense, foreign policy, and intelligence, including 6 years on the policy staff of the House Armed Services Committee, 4 years at the State Department's Bureau of Politico-Military Affairs, including a year as a negotiator on the U.S. delegation to the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty talks in Geneva, 6 years as a CIA analyst of political military aspects of the East-West balance, including a year as an intelligence community representative. Excuse me, geez, I'm losing my breath here.
There's a lot going on
here.
Who is this guy?
All right, including a year as an intelligence community representative to the interagency groups charged with U.S. arms control policy, and former director, American Friends of the Czech Republic. Following graduation from the United States Military Academy at West Point, Mr. Bartek spent 4 years as an Army officer serving as a company commander in Korea and an infantry and military intelligence officer in Vietnam. He has a master's degree in Russian area studies from Georgetown University. Whew, wow, that's a lot of stuff, Ron.
And he's barely 37.
Next week, I turn 37, right? Or 73. I always get those numbers confused. So.
Ron, first of all, thank you for your service. We're so grateful for you and all of our military fellows who defend this country. Before we get started into rare disease, I want to talk to you a little bit about what might not be in the bio.
If anything, yeah. Were you ever a librarian?
No, I was not, and
but
it's on my bucket list. So
I know there may or may not be a few things in there. For example, I think you were a teacher, right?
Right. I taught high school in Fairfax County, Virginia for 5 years. I continue to say that that teaching is still the second most important profession in the world, including our own country. The first being parenting, and we need to do a better job of both. I'd like to go back to one thing that was on that bio, and that was the Nuclear Arms Control Treaty. I was very fortunate to work on. I raise it again because all the way back to high school, I had a big dream. I said, wouldn't it be cool if I could somehow learn enough about the superpower relationship between the Soviet Union and the United States and do something in some small way that would help end that confrontation and make it more likely to be a peaceful world. And there I was, 30 years later, working every day, all day at the State Department and in Geneva, negotiating in Russian and English with the Soviet negotiators. And we came up with this treaty that's still in effect, that ended 2 whole classes of nuclear weapons that we had based in Europe at 5 basing countries, our allies there, aimed at the Soviet Union, and got rid of about 11 times as many warheads in the Soviet Union aimed at our European allies and our Asian allies. And those missiles are gone. They're all cut up. So I always consider that part of the fact that not enough of us have the opportunity to have dreams, and far fewer of us get the opportunity to accomplish a dream, to have one come true. And that was big time a dream come true for me. We got that treaty, flew it back home, signed by Reagan and Gorbachev, ended 2 whole classes of nuclear weapons in Europe and the Soviet Union. And beginning almost immediately, our son Keith was diagnosed shortly thereafter, just a few years later, and the second great dream of my life, came before me, and that one's even more important. And I, as I said, very few of us have the opportunity to form a dream, and fewer get to accomplish one. I'm a glutton for this kind of wonderful fruition, because I'm not only have I had one dream come true, I'm eager to have that second, more important dream come true, and that is to treat and cure Friedreich's ataxia. And like the first one, I know we're going to get it. It's just no longer a question of whether or if, but it's a question of when, and we're beginning to answer that question in a very affirming positive of saying it won't take forever. So just a little cut back into the past there, but these are very important dreams for all of us now, and I know we're all confident that they're going to come true. So.
This is true. That's a big dream for sure that Kyle and I share with you, and probably most of our listeners do as well. Hey, before we keep going, I do have a question. Ron, the sun is behind you, so I can't really see you, but where is your microphone? Is it hanging down on a wire?
Yeah, it's right attached to my headset.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm picking up a little bit of noise when you move.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
so not that you can't move, just be mindful of that, maybe.
Okay, I'll sit still.
And then Kyle, turn your phone off, you rookie.
I know, I just did. That was terrible.
No, still a great conversation so far. We can cut this little part out of me yelling at you guys.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm going to change to a quiet chair here. You'll lose the.
Oh, hey, now I can see you. Oh my gosh, you look great. I couldn't see you a minute ago because the lighting.
Yeah, exactly. Now you won't get the lake view anymore, but here we go. This will work.
All right, cool. Very cool. Thanks, Ron. Are you comfortable?
I am.
Sitting there for a couple hours.
I'm good to go.
This entire month and the purpose of our little series in February has been all around Rare Disease Day. As you know, it's tomorrow, February 28th. In your experience and in your work over the course of the years, what do you see as maybe the largest benefit that the Rare Disease Day effort has contributed or created in our space over the last 8 or 9 years since it became a thing?
Yeah, I'd say it really is a two-way street that I would use to answer that question, Sean. In one direction, you've got the people at the NIH and the FDA, our government partners, able to reach out to and brief everybody in the rare disease community. So, one important feature of Rare Disease Day is actually today, the 27th, at the NIH. They're having their Rare Disease Day. And they will be talking with all the representatives that come together at the NIH on Rare Disease Day. So it's their opportunity at the NIH and the FDA to speak to all of us. The other direction of that street is that all of us are there in front of the NIH, in front of the FDA, in front of our state legislatures around the country on various days this week. And so they're sensing, I think, in the one direction, our whole rare disease community is sensing the commitment and the very impressive commitment on the part of the NIH and the FDA to all of us. In the other direction, the NIH and the FDA and members of state legislature and national, the Congress, sensing the strength and unity of the rare disease community. And they're seeing these really are 30 million people. I mean, we're not looking at 30 million people, but we can see these people are from all over the country representing 30 million people. These are our constituents. These are our voters. And so it's really a very powerful message day, message week.
You know, one thing that Nicole Boyce said on the show a couple weeks ago, she's the CEO of Global Genes. She said part of their mission and the idea behind what they're doing is to knock on doors and to stand up on the mountaintop and say, hey, rare disease, we're here, we're strong, and we're not going anywhere. So let's get this done. And you know, what you said reminds me of that little bit that she, you know, what she shared with us not too long ago. Because you're right, it's the opportunity to stand in front of Congress or to stand on the Hill or to stand in front of anybody, the drug companies, advocates, people with deep pockets, whatever it takes, and say, we need help. We need treatments, we need cures, and we're all in this together. So what little bit can you do to help us reach the finish line? You know, I think of any major athlete or sports team, they all have 28 different coaches, or, you know, a different person to help hone in on this particular skill. And I'm going to help you with nutrition. I'm going to help you with speed. I'm going to help you with hitting. I'm going to help you with pitching. You know, all these different people that focus on one little area. And that's what I'm thinking about when I listen to you talk and I hear about all these things going on in the rare disease community. We're all got a little focus, a niche focus, if you will, with the end result being treatments and cures. And if this day helps us get there, then all the more days we need. Let's, like Nicole said, let's make it a month and have a rare disease month, which a lot of people, you know, like you said, NIH is doing something today. And so many different people, we're doing something all week or all month. So anyway, now I'm rambling.
No, Sean, I'll save you there real quick because I really do like your coaching analysis or metaphor, because it sounds from Ron like the FDA and the NIH and Capitol Hill, they're looking at the leaders in the rare disease community to be like, look, you are our coach for rare disease. Absolutely. We need you to do all this work because that's not something we can do on our own, and we're going to depend on you to coach us on rare disease. And that's part of what the rare disease community is doing, is filling that role of coach for rare disease.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, Kyle. And I think there are various opportunities coming up to illustrate that point, and they're all based on the buzz now around patient-focused drug development. And listening to, I like to say, it's increasing the frequency and the volume of the patient's voice. And the patient is becoming the coach. And there's no one more than the FDA that recognizes the need to listen and hear the patient's voice, because what they're designing their whole operation around is patient-focused drug development. And they want to be able to have in front of them that these clinical outcome measures, these clinical endpoints, these things being used to measure success or failure in a clinical trial really do relate directly to the patient's daily experience. How do these endpoints improve or fail to improve the quality of daily life for these patients? And to be able to know that, they need to hear from the patients. So the FA community, by the way, will have a tremendous opportunity coming up on June 2nd this summer to increase the volume and frequency of the patient's voice. The FDA has agreed to have FARA conduct, and in collaboration with our MDA colleagues and our NAF colleagues, to conduct pretty much a full day of what's called an externally led patient-focused drug development meeting. We will be assembling probably a couple hundred patients or patient family members, advocates in the Maryland suburbs of Washington on June 2nd, and it will be live streamed to homes. Anybody who logs on, and the patients and patient family members at home will be able to participate in in the meeting itself, responding to online questions and answers. So this will be a marvelous way, and the FDA will be there in some numbers. They'll be listening to everybody in the room. There'll be like 3 panel presentations. There'll be an FA science presentation by one of our clinicians. There'll be 3 panels of patients, and then after each panel, and the discussions will be around, this is what my daily life is. These are the things most important to me. These are the things I can and cannot do. If I were to have a treatment for FA, this is what I would want it to treat first, sort of thing. And then after each of those panel presentations, there'll be a response period there'll be questions up on the screen. Everybody from home will be on their own cell phones responding to the questions, giving their answers and so forth. And so it's going to be a marvelous opportunity. Keep in mind, these are the people that are going to be reviewing our proposals, our clinical trial data, and so forth. So to tell them, it's so important to be able to tell them what's most important to us. Then our clinical trials need to address those important issues. So June 2nd, keep your ears and eyes peeled. FARA will be putting out notices and putting out guidelines and giving all the particulars, but June 2nd is going to be a big day for us at the FDA.
Beautiful, beautiful. Ron, you talk so much about the FDA. I think commonly the FDA is seen as the barrier. They're the people that don't allow us to, push treatments through, or it just seems like that's a common thought, that the FDA is there to keep us from accomplishing things. What is your experience, and what can you speak to that sort of thought?
I will probably get emotional again, because this is a very important issue in my view, in my heart. I see people at the FDA as people like us. I mean, these are people, that didn't know anything much about FA 20 years ago. We have worked so effectively with them that they now know a great deal about FA, and in various positions. There's an Office of Orphan Product Development there. That's the office that gives orphan drug designations, awards them when deserved. There's an Office of Rare Diseases that pays attention to all rare diseases. There are then the review divisions for neurology, for oncology, and so forth. And then there are review divisions for biological efforts like gene therapy. All those people now know a good bit about FA. These are people that now invite FARA. Jen Farmer and I have any number of times given presentations at their invitation at the FDA, so that they say, come and teach our reviewers how helpful a rare disease community, how helpful a rare disease advocacy organization can be in getting us to the finish line together. And we've even briefed their teams and their industry partners or sponsors come in and who are doing clinical trials, and we've been asked to brief them on how to conduct a small clinical trial in a rare disease. So bottom line, Kyle, you were there at the Rare Impact Award. You were up on stage with me receiving the Rare Impact Award from NORD last year. You could look down like I could and see probably 10 FDA people sitting together, and our recognition of them was very important to them. They came up and said afterwards that they really appreciated our description of them as being they're on the same team, they're in the same family. We know, I know these people want us to succeed. They would love nothing more than for us to be able to develop the treatments and the cures for FA, partly because they've come to care about our patient community, partly because they really appreciate and the way FARA operates, that we're in the same family, we're on the same team. We know that they can't approve a drug without good data. We know that we don't want them to approve a drug that won't be safe for our patients. And that's their mandate, safe, effective drugs. And so our job, assemble the data that shows that this drug is safe and effective. They will jump up and down, cheer and hug us because they want it to work for us. They genuinely care about us. So that's been one of the real benefits of our constant effort to educate our FDA colleagues and partners. That's the way we see them. We know that they're all in for us. They would love nothing more than to see us succeed. So.
Awesome. Love that. So I think that concludes my cross-examination. Sean, do you have anything else?
No, it's powerful. I think you do a pretty good job of covering all the details, Ron. Thank you so much for just hanging out with us today and talking from the heart.
Well, thank you both very much for doing all this, and thank you both for being the wonderful, disablingly courageous and awesome characters that you both are. Thank you all both for the Race Across America. Thank you for participating in clinical trials. Thank you for helping lead our whole community and encouraging our whole community to be such active participants in our basic research, our clinical research, and all the FARA events. We know that FARA would not exist without support, wholehearted support from all of our families, and it's just an awesome family affair now, isn't it? I mean, no question in anybody's mind that FA research is a family affair now, and you guys are vital elements in not only being members of that family, but leaders of that family. So thank you both, and thank all the patients out there listening to this podcast for all that you do and how vital you are. It's all about you. We're not doing this for anybody else. And we couldn't do it without you and all that you contribute to the cause. So thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you, Mr. President. And, I was thinking we might get through this without a few tears, but, you proved me wrong again. And I love it. We love your heart and your soul, Mr. President. And, we appreciate you being our fearless leader, and we'll follow you until we get this thing done, and even after too.
I think the flip side is true. People do it because of the patient, and I think this wouldn't be happening today if it wasn't for you and Rachel. So, thank you for what you guys do.
Thank you kindly. It's been a pleasure. Always will be.
Give our best to Rachel. I know we've interrupted her afternoon with you.
I'll get back to that. So thank you very much.
All right.
Bye, Ron.
Bye.
See you soon and then at the finish line. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that as much as Sean and I do. In about a month, keep your eyes open for episode 11, which will feature the rest of our conversation with Ron. It includes moving stories behind the team that launched FARA, which has grown the cause from 3 scientists to hundreds worldwide.
Remember to share and spread awareness for Rare Disease Day, which is tomorrow. The annual day that is focused on enriching the lives of the 30 million people in the U.S. and 350 million people worldwide, all who live with rare conditions that still need treatments and cures. As all of our Rare Disease Day guests have said, one way or another, we are making great progress on so many fronts, but we still have work to do.
Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. To find this episode and links to some of the stuff we talked about today, find us online at twodisableddudes.com or subscribe on iTunes.
We'd like to hear from you and feature your feedback and questions on future podcasts. Be sure to visit us at twodisableddudes.com to find our contact info and connect on social media.
Special thanks to our audio producer, Jake Tompkins, who also composed the music.
We'll share a new podcast every other week. We hope you'll listen and share it with a friend. Until next time, keep living with urgency.